Success stories don't always start in corner offices or Ivy League classrooms. Sometimes they begin at 4 a.m. in a storage closet that smells like bleach and floor wax. Sometimes they start with a mop. This is the story of Daniel Rivera. Today, he's the Chief Operating Officer of TechCore Industries, a billion-dollar company. But 15 years ago, he was mopping their floors. This isn't a fairy tale. This is a story about observation, persistence, and the kind of education you can't get from a textbook. This is about seeing opportunities where others see only obstacles. This is about the journey from mop to boardroom. December 2008. The financial crisis has just devastated the American economy. Daniel Rivera, 28 years old, stands outside TechCore Industries at 9 p.m., holding a work order from Apex Cleaning Services. He needs this job. His father's landscaping business has collapsed. His mother works 2 jobs just to keep their small apartment in Queens. Daniel has a degree in business administration from a community college, but in this economy, that paper means nothing. The building is massive. 32 floors of steel and glass. During the day, it houses software engineers, project managers, executives making decisions that affect millions of lives. At night, it belongs to people like Daniel. His supervisor, a man named Carlos, who's been cleaning buildings for 20 years, gives him the rundown. The instructions are simple. Each floor takes about 45 minutes. Start at the top, work your way down. Empty trash, vacuum, clean bathrooms, wipe down surfaces. And on the executive floor, that's 32, be extra careful. They notice everything up there. Daniel nods, takes his cart, and heads to the elevator. As the doors close and the numbers climb, he makes a decision. A small one, but important. He decides this won't be temporary. Not because he wants to clean floors forever, but because if he's going to be here, he's going to learn everything he can. He's going to pay attention. He's going to treat this like the opportunity it is, even if no one else sees it that way. That first night, Daniel does something most janitors don't do. He reads. While wiping down desks and emptying trash cans, Daniel notices something. These offices are full of information. Whiteboards covered in project timelines, printouts left on desks, post-it notes with meeting agendas, books on leadership, management, software development. Most janitors are trained to ignore this. Don't read anything, don't touch anything important, just clean and move on. But Daniel has a different approach. He doesn't disturb anything, he doesn't take anything, but he reads. On the 28th floor, the product development team has left a whiteboard full of notes about a software launch. Daniel stops, reads it carefully, tries to understand the workflow they've mapped out. On the 19th floor, someone's left a book on their desk, The Lean Startup by Ari Reese. Daniel flips through it while dusting, reads a few pages, carefully places it back exactly where he found it. On the executive floor, there's a conference room with a presentation still up on the screen. Q4 Strategy Review. Daniel spends 10 minutes studying every slide, understanding how the company thinks about its business. 3 months into the job, Daniel has developed a system. He brings a small notebook in his backpack. During his breaks, he writes down things he's learned, terms he doesn't understand, concepts he wants to research, questions he has about how businesses work. In his notebook, Daniel writes questions that drive his learning. What is agile methodology? He sees it on multiple whiteboards, and it seems important to how tech teams work. He writes about revenue versus profit, knowing the basic difference, but wanting to understand how companies track it so precisely. He questions why there are so many meetings, having seen 7 different calendar printouts in a single day, knowing there must be a reason. At home, in the few hours between sleep and work, Daniel researches. He watches YouTube videos about project management. He reads free articles about software development. He takes free online courses about business strategy. His mother notices him studying at 3 a.m. She tells him he needs to sleep, that he works all night. But Daniel explains that he's learning, that this job isn't just cleaning, it's access. He's inside a company that most people would kill to work for. He just needs to figure out how to use it. His mother doesn't fully understand, But she knows her son. She's seen this determination before. She brings him coffee and lets him study. 6 months in, Daniel makes his first big observation, one that will change everything. He notices that Tech Core has a problem, a significant one, and somehow no one else has seen it. It's a Tuesday night in June 2009. Daniel is cleaning the 24th floor, the operations department. He's noticed something strange over the past few weeks. The trash cans here are always full of printed reports, dozens of pages, sometimes hundreds, printed and then thrown away the next day. The same reports over and over. Daniel pulls one out, smooths it against his cart. It's a daily inventory report. 47 pages of product codes, quantities, warehouse locations. He sees the date, today. He remembers seeing this same report in yesterday's trash. He starts paying closer attention. The next night, same thing. The night after that, same pattern. He checks other floors. The same reports are being printed on 6 different floors, multiple copies, every single day, then thrown away. Daniel does some math in his head. If they're printing these reports every day on multiple floors, that's thousands of pages per week, tens of thousands per month. He thinks about the cost, not just paper and ink, but time. Someone has to print these. Someone has to distribute them. Someone has to throw them away. Someone, him, has to empty the trash and replace the bags. But it's more than waste. Daniel has been reading about business efficiency. He's learned about redundancy, about process optimization. This isn't just expensive, it's a symptom of a bigger problem. Why are 6 different departments all printing the same information? Why isn't this digital? Why isn't there one system everyone can access? Over the next 2 weeks, Daniel pieces together the puzzle. He reads more discarded documents. He listens to conversations while cleaning during evening overtime shifts when some employees are still working. He maps out, in his notebook, how information flows through the company. What he discovers is this. TechCore's internal systems don't talk to each other. The inventory system is separate from the sales system. The warehouse management system doesn't integrate with logistics. So employees print everything, manually cross-reference, and make decisions based on day-old information. It's inefficient, it's expensive, and it's costing the company money every single day. Daniel knows he's found something important. The question is, what does he do with it? He's a janitor. He's not supposed to be thinking about operational efficiency. He's not supposed to be analyzing business processes. Who would even listen to him? He considers staying silent. Just keep cleaning, keep learning, wait for a real opportunity. But something in him refuses to let this go. He thinks about his father's landscaping business, how it failed not because his father wasn't a good landscaper, but because he didn't understand business systems, because he didn't speak up when he saw inefficiencies, because he didn't think he had the right to have ideas. Daniel decides he won't make the same mistake, but he needs to be smart about this. He can't just walk into an executive's office and start talking about operational inefficiency. He needs credibility. He needs proof. He needs a plan. For the next 3 weeks, Daniel conducts an unofficial audit. He counts every printed report he finds in the trash. He tracks which departments print what. He estimates costs, paper, ink, printer maintenance, labor time. He researches alternative solutions, cloud-based inventory systems, integrated software platforms. He creates a complete analysis, professional, detailed, backed by data he's collected with his own eyes. Then he does something that takes more courage than anything he's done before. He asks for a meeting with the chief operating officer. Getting that meeting isn't easy. The OCO's assistant is polite but dismissive when Daniel calls. She tells him that Mr. Harrison's schedule is fully booked and asks what this is regarding. Daniel explains that he works night maintenance in the building, and he's identified a significant operational inefficiency that he believes is costing the company approximately $40,000 per month. He has documentation. There's a pause on the line. The assistant asks if he's a janitor. Yes, Daniel says, and he has something Mr. Harrison needs to see. There's a long silence. Then the assistant says she'll see what she can do. 3 days later, Daniel gets a call. He has 15 minutes on Friday at 6 p.m. The COO will see him at the end of the day. Daniel is terrified. He's also prepared. James Harrison has been the COO of TechCore for 6 years. He's 53 years old, MBA from Northwestern, 25 years in operations management. He's heard a lot of pitches, a lot of ideas, a lot of people who think they've found the secret to business success. He's never taken a meeting with a janitor before. When Daniel walks into his office at 6 p.m., Harrison is skeptical, but he's also curious. Anyone with the audacity to request this meeting deserves 15 minutes. Harrison acknowledges that he understands Daniel cleans their offices at night. Daniel confirms, yes, for the past 8 months. Harrison mentions that Daniel claims to have found an operational inefficiency. He asks if he may show him. Daniel opens his folder. He's printed everything on his own money at a local print shop. Charts, graphs, data tables. It looks professional because he's spent hours making it professional. He walks Harrison through his findings, the redundant printing, the disconnected systems, the daily waste, the monthly cost. But Daniel doesn't just present the problem, he presents solutions. 3 different software integration options with pros and cons for each, implementation timelines, expected ROI. He speaks clearly, confidently, using the business terminology he's learned from months of reading. Harrison's 15-minute courtesy meeting turns into 45 minutes, then an hour. He asks questions. Daniel has answers. He pokes holes in the analysis. Daniel has thought of them. Finally, Harrison leans back in his chair. He asks where he learned to do this kind of analysis. Daniel tells him the truth. From Harrison's offices, from reading what they leave behind, from watching how the company works, and from caring enough to pay attention. Harrison is quiet for a moment. Then he makes a decision that will change both their lives. He tells Daniel that he's going to have the operations team review this analysis. If it holds up, and he suspects it will, he wants Daniel on the team that implements the solution. But Daniel can't do that as a janitor. Harrison asks how Daniel would feel about an entry-level position in operations. Daniel Rivera starts his new position on Monday morning, Junior Operations Analyst. It's an entry level, but it's corporate, it's salary, it's a desk. It's a beginning. The first week is overwhelming. He's suddenly working with people who have degrees from Stanford and MIT, people who've been in tech for years, people who speak in acronyms and references he doesn't always understand. But Daniel has something they don't. He's seen the company from a perspective none of them have. He knows how the building works at night. He knows what gets thrown away. He knows where the waste is. And he knows how to work harder than anyone else in the room. His analysis about the printing waste is validated. The operations team implements his suggested solution, a cloud-based integrated system. Within 3 months, they've cut operational costs by $38,000 per month. Daniel gets noticed. But it's not just the one big idea that makes his career. It's the 100 small observations he makes, the inefficiencies he spots, the processes he questions, the improvements he suggests. Within a year, he's promoted to operations analyst, then senior analyst, then manager.
But success isn't linear, and climbing from janitor to management comes with challenges that others don't face. There are people who resent him, who think he doesn't deserve his success because he didn't follow the traditional path, who whisper that he got lucky, that he's not really qualified. Some colleagues say behind his back that he was literally cleaning toilets 2 years ago, and now he's managing a team, questioning whether the company has lost its mind. Daniel overhears conversations like this. They hurt, but they also fuel him. He faces imposter syndrome, moments where he sits in meetings with executives and thinks, I don't belong here. They're going to realize I'm not smart enough for this. But then he remembers something. He remembers that he taught himself everything these people paid $200,000 to learn at business school. He remembers that he saw problems no one else saw. He remembers that he earned this. There are also moments of profound gratitude, times when he looks around a conference room and thinks about his mother, still working 2 jobs, times when he thinks about other janitors in other buildings, working just as hard as he did, but without the same opportunities. He makes a promise to himself. If he keeps climbing, he'll create opportunities for others. As Daniel rises through the company, he develops a leadership philosophy based on his own experience, his own journey from MOP to boardroom. He calls it the janitor's perspective. In presentations and meetings, Daniel shares this philosophy. He talks about how every company has invisible people, the janitors, security guards, food service workers, the people who make everything run but no one notices unless something goes wrong. He was one of those people, and being invisible gave him a superpower. He could see everything. He could see what people threw away, what they wasted, where systems broke down. He could see the truth about how the company really worked. Most leaders never get that perspective. They see the company from the top down. Daniel saw it from the ground up. And that perspective taught him something crucial. The people doing the work always know more than the people managing the work. The question is whether you're listening. This philosophy becomes his trademark. As he builds teams, he hires differently than other executives. He looks for people with unconventional backgrounds. He values work ethic over pedigree. He listens to entry-level employees. He creates a program at TechCore called Perspective Rotation. For 1 week every year, managers work in different roles, including facilities and operations, not to demean anyone, but to understand, to see what others see. Some executives think it's gimmicky. Others see it as revolutionary. The results speak for themselves. Employee satisfaction increases, efficiency improves, innovation accelerates. Daniel's reputation grows beyond TechCore. June 2023, 14 years after Daniel first walked into TechCore Industries with a mop and a cart. The CEO, Patricia Chen, calls him into her office. She tells him she's retiring in 6 months. The board has been discussing succession planning. They want him to be the next chief operating officer. Daniel is 43 years old. He's risen from janitor to junior analyst to manager to director to vice president. Now they want him in the C-suite. From mop to boardroom, literally. But this moment isn't just about his success. It's about what his success represents. When the announcement is made, it makes news, not just in the tech industry, but in mainstream media. From janitor to COO, the remarkable rise of Daniel Rivera. Some outlets treat it as a feel-good story. Others dig deeper, analyzing how he did it, what lessons can be learned, how companies can create pathways for unconventional talent. Daniel does interviews. He talks about his journey, but he's careful about the message. In one interview, Daniel explains that people want to make this story about him, about his determination, intelligence, or work ethic. And sure, those things mattered, but the real story is about opportunity and observation. He had access. He was inside a company every single night. He used that access to learn. Most people in his position don't do that, not because they're not capable, but because they don't believe they're allowed to. We need to change that belief, Daniel says. We need to tell people you're allowed to pay attention, you're allowed to learn, you're allowed to have ideas, no matter what your job title is. As COO, Daniel implements changes that reflect his journey. He creates a formal education program for TechCore's facility staff, evening classes, paid for by the company, business fundamentals, technology literacy, leadership development. He establishes a talent pipeline program that looks for employees in non-traditional roles who show potential, not to take them away from their work, but to give them paths forward if they want them. He changes the company's hiring practices, removes degree requirements for positions where they're not strictly necessary, focuses on demonstrated ability over credentials. 3 years into his role as COO, TechCore has become known as the most innovative operations organization in the tech industry, not just because of their technology, but because of their culture. Daniel still keeps in touch with Carlos, his first supervisor from the cleaning service. Carlos is retired now, but they meet for coffee every few months. During one of these meetings, Carlos tells Daniel that over the years he had 50 guys work for him. Daniel was the only one who treated it like it mattered. Most people just wanted to get through the shift. Daniel wanted to understand why everything worked the way it did. Daniel responds that it did matter. Every job matters if you pay attention. That's what he learned from Carlos. Daniel's mother still lives in Queens, but now Daniel has been able to buy her a house. She cries every time she tells people about her son, not because of the title or the money, but because he never forgot where he came from. The janitors who clean TechCore's offices now know Daniel's story. Many of them nod to him when he works late and they're starting their shifts. He always nods back, always stops to talk, always asks their names, because he remembers. He remembers what it's like to be invisible, and he spent 14 years making sure others don't have to stay that way. From MOP to boardroom, it sounds impossible. It sounds like a fairy tale, but it's not. It's a story about observation, about using access, however limited, to learn, about refusing to accept that your current position defines your potential. It's a story about seeing opportunities where others see only obstacles, about asking questions no one expects you to ask, about having the courage to speak up when you find answers. Most importantly, it's a story that can be repeated. Not in the exact same way, everyone's journey is different, but the principles are universal. Pay attention to where you are, learn from what you see, don't wait for permission to have ideas, and remember, every position in every organization sees something unique. The question is whether you're looking. Daniel Rivera went from mock to boardroom, not because he was special, though he was smart and hardworking, but because he understood something fundamental. Success isn't about where you start. It's about what you do with the access you have, no matter how limited that access seems. The next time you see someone in a job that society calls invisible, remember, they're not invisible to themselves. They're watching, they're learning, they're seeing things you might miss, and one of them might just be on their way from MOP to boardroom.